The Rock makes Cody Rhodes bleed on Raw, WWE SmackDown struggled against other sports, and my review of Monday Night Raw. I'm Luke Owen, and this is the WrestleTalk News.
Support WrestleTalk!
I'll have my full review of Raw in a little bit, but I think we need to talk about the closing segment to kick off today's WrestleTalk news. Earlier in the show, The Rock, who made an unannounced appearance on Raw, came out to whisper something into Cody Rhodes' ear, which Sean Ross Sapp confirmed was, "I'm going to make you bleed." Cody later told Jackie that Rock made a promise that he couldn't keep, but boy, was he very wrong. As following Jey Uso's win over Shinsuke Nakamura, Cody brawled with the bloodline of Jimmy Uso and Solo Sikoa backstage, and The Rock blindsided Cody to batter him from pillar to post. He took him outside into the pouring rain and cut a promo on him while beating him up more, busting him open and making Cody Rhodes bleed his own blood. Rocky referenced his own "You're Welcome" promo by covering his weight belt in Cody's blood, saying that at WrestleMania it will also have Cody's mama's tears. He even added, "This is what happens when you F with the final boss." It was a killer angle to close off what was already a tremendous show, and it's one that many are calling one of the greatest closings to Raw in the history of the show. It also prompted some thoughts from the Rhodes family, with Cody's older sister tweeting, "The Rhodes are the blood and bones of American pro wrestling. Rock just made his worst mistake." Cody's wife Brandy didn't ask if it was open mic night, bitch, and instead tweeted, "He better keep his security detail tight at Mania, that's all." And Cody's brother, AEW's Dustin Rhodes, simply tweeted, "You son of a bitch." I presume that's a reference to Raw and he wasn't just watching Predator on a different channel and tweeting his favorite line from the movie. Sadly, the chances of Dustin being a part of WrestleMania 40 are slim, as Sean Ross Sapp reiterated on the Fightful Raw review that he is under contract with AEW until much later this year. But what did you make of the segment? Let me know in the comments down below. For me, it was another step on what has been a brilliant road to WrestleMania in a period of time that has never felt hotter for the company, which has been reflected in the ticket sales. Raw this week was another sellout with just under 15,000 tickets sold according to WrestleTalk, as well as in the TV ratings. While Raw is down year on year, that is more attributed to cable cutting and people watching their wrestling content through different means. SmackDown has seen a big jump in their ratings this year, thanks in a large part to the constant presence of The Rock on our TV screens. But this week's SmackDown was the first in 3 weeks to not feature The Rock, though it did feature Roman Reigns and Cody Rhodes, and that might be why the show, drawing its lowest ratings since December last year, can be seen as a bit of a fail. It was still a solid number of 2.2 million viewers, but it is the lowest overall viewership and the lowest all-important 18 to 49 demo since that December 29th, 2023 episode. However, before anyone cries that WWE is in the mud or whatever it is that Twitter comments say about bad ratings, the show did go head-to-head with NCAA basketball's March Madness, and the coverage of both games pulled in 4.9 million viewers according to Programming Insider. But now I think it's time that we look at the rest of Monday Night Raw. But before that, here's a clip from our most recent episode of the Monday Night War over on Parts Unknown, where we're playing through the new MyGM mode on WWE 2K24.
The live costume malfunction with Jinder really hurts. We lost 5,000 fans, and we also got hit with a 30,000k fine. Oh dear, don't worry, I have a plan to turn things around. Piss. Ass.
And now it's time for my review of Monday Night Raw, aka more like Monday Night Rad edition of Monday Night Raw, in about 5 minutes. Although this may be a long one, so it'll probably go over 5 minutes. Let's just pretend it's a Steiner math 5 minutes. The show opened with Cody Rhodes cutting a promo asking everyone to have his back at WrestleMania, and got them to all point at the WrestleMania sign together, and also apologize to The Rock and Roman Reigns for stopping them having their, and this is a direct quote, "Wankfest at WrestleMania. Attitude Era back, lol." This is when The Rock made his unannounced appearance on the show, slowly walking down to the ring, not saying a word out loud, and just whispering into Cody's ear before leaving. It was one of those segments where less was so much more, just a big star being across the ring from another big star and letting the crowd reactions tell their story. The Rock told Jackie that if she wants to know what he said to Cody, she can go ask Cody herself. She did that later in the show, but Cody would not repeat it. "Oh, but you're fine saying Wankfest on TV, are you?" The Judgment Day hung out in their Judgment Den and told JD McDonough that he needs to do JD McBetter against Ricochet, and he failed to do that when he lost to Ricochet in a match that was a good advert for why you should feature Ricochet on TV more. You get a 66 2/3% chance of wrestling being better. Neither man got much in the way of reactions during their entrances, but the action got everyone into it by the time the final bell rang. As Ricochet hit a top rope poison rana, springboard 450s, Canadian destroyers from out of nowhere, and a shooting star press to a standing McDonough for the win. It wasn't exactly 6 stars as Pat McAfee decreed on commentary, but it was really bloody great. Let's just hope that WWE can keep up this Ricochet momentum. That's enough of that wrestling lark though, let's get back to the talking. We got CM Punk to do a 20-minute talking segment. And what a 20-minute talking segment this was. Punk said that while he is not medically cleared, he will be at WrestleMania, and his mouth works totally fine because he performs cunnilingus on his wife. No, for real, that is basically what Punk said. Attitude Era back, LOL. He put over Jim Cornette's podcast, teased matches with Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins, and The Rock, referencing back to his arms too short to box with God promo from 2013, and then claimed that he doesn't permanently sit on the internet. Lol, sure, Jan. This brought out Drew McIntyre, who said that Punk was in danger of getting himself cancelled because he said that McIntyre was wearing a skirt, and said that for someone who doesn't drink or do drugs, he sure does spend a lot of time in rehab nursing injuries. He then referenced his original WWE gimmick of The Chosen One, and Punk dared Drew to name the person who gave him that nickname. Which of course Drew didn't, because that's Vince McMahon. Drew suggested that Punk should be the guest commentator for his title match, and this brought out Seth Rollins, who said that only he can make decisions about the world title match, and said that Punk can't be the guest referee because he's injured. Punk proved him wrong by dropping to the mat and doing a 3 count, but said that he wouldn't be impartial due to, and I quote, these two dipshits. Drew told him to keep it PG, and Rollins told him to stay out of his way. They confirmed eventually that Punk will be doing commentary at WrestleMania, and he said that he'll do what he always does, make Seth Rollins and Drew McIntyre interesting. Tell him when he's telling lies. Drew demanded that Punk not get the final word in the segment, but in doing so, took his eye off the ball and allowed Seth Rollins to super kick him and lay him out with a stomp. Drew just did the thing that he's been accusing Seth of doing, which is a neat little touch. I've seen some people on Reddit call this a train wreck because everyone was talking over each other to get their own lines in, but for me, that's what made it so captivating. This wasn't a WWE promo segment. This had more in common with AEW than it did WWE, as it just felt like all 3 guys went out there to improv and ad-lib around each other. And after last week's rather lame segment between Seth and Drew, this was much needed for the feud. And like he said, CM Punk has made this feud more interesting. And that spells disaster for Seth and Drew. Candice LeRae beat Ivy Nile in a couple of minutes in the only women's match on the whole show, and New Day vs DIY ended in DQ when Judgment Day attacked everyone. They also laid out The Miz, and while Truth was able to fight back a bit, he was taken out by Damian Priest. Even though they have added a whopping 12 people to this story, the focus is still Awesome Truth vs Judgment Day when it comes to the tag titles. Andrade beat Giovanni Vinci after it was announced that Ivar wasn't medically cleared, and Rhea Ripley had a big promo segment with Becky Lynch. Rhea said that she doesn't need to wrestle on the show because she can just post a picture of her butt and the crowd will lap it up. Mate, I know the feeling. I thought the same thing about me. And called Becky a cockroach, but crossed a line when she said that Becky's kid will be calling her Mammy after WrestleMania. Becky, with tears in her eyes, said that Rhea gets 1 when it comes to talking about her kid. And while that may be a joke to Rhea, this title is not a joke to Becky Lynch. She punched Dom square in the face and the two brawled. After weeks of Becky being distracted by Nia Jax and Liv Morgan, this segment was really needed to heat up this feud. Kathy Kelly, cosplaying as Elektra, interviewed Gunther, who firmly believes that Sammy cannot beat him. He also thought he would not be able to beat Bronson Reed later tonight. And he was correct. Gunther stood on the stage to watch Sammy distract himself and get wiped out with the tsunami. I'm not usually a fan of beating your big challenger ahead of their big title match before the big show, but this was done to further the coach storyline with Chad Gable. Gable offered his services to Sami Zayn, saying that he needs to beat Gunther mentally if he's going to win at WrestleMania. I just wish this story had been given more time to develop, as we've only got 1 more show to dive into this. And the main event saw Jey Uso beat Shinsuke Nakamura, which saw brawling with Cody, Seth, Drew, Jimmy, and Solo, and that closing angle with The Rock. The Attitude Era is well remembered by wrestling fans for its big moments and its big angles. But the thing that helped it stand head and shoulders above ruthless aggression, reality, and PG eras was the star power. Big names doing big name things. And this episode of Raw felt like that. The closing angle was the biggest heel against the biggest babyface, with the other massive babyfaces and heels brawling around them. Punk, Drew, and Seth felt big time because they feel like big stars. Rhea and Becky felt big because they're big stars. And like the Attitude Era, wrestling played a backseat to the big stars doing big moments. But hot damn if it didn't work. This week's Raw is a perfect 5 out of 5. Maybe even more than that. 6 out of 5. Add an extra 75% chance to it. 141 2/3 out of 5. At 141 2/3. Steiner math. Stop it.
I've got a lot of things I want to get off my chest, and you keep putting in these little Steiner math things in your script, and I see it in the comments, and I've had enough. I've had enough with that. The pipe bomb is better than Steiner maths. Tomorrow, I'll put an end to this. Pipe bomb!
In the meantime, go and watch the latest episode of Monday Night War.